There is a lot of it. There's never a rationing of news with Donald Trump in office. We have oil prices jumping as Iran celebrates attacks on oil tankers, which we'll get to. You also have illegal aliens found a new way to get released from detention centers. Furthermore, we have the SAVE Act standoff that we might be able to get to. We'll see if we have enough time. And you have FBI alerts people on the West Coast, meaning me, of a possible drone attack on U.S. soil. So we have a lot of stuff to cover. And this one's crazy because a lot of people are like, it's impossible. It's not going to happen. People think they're untouchable. And that's when the most surprising things happen, is when you think you're untouchable. Well, if you haven't already, folks, hit that like and subscribe button. Leave us a comment if it's available. If you're watching this a little bit later, all these algorithms just love engagement. That's all they want, is to see you engaging with the algorithm, see you engaging with the creator. So please leave me a comment down below whenever you're available or whenever you can. We always have people in the live chat, which is always greatly appreciated. But oddly, you would think it would have something to do with engagement. As far as my understanding, it has nothing to do with engagement, and none of our chats transcribe into the comment section, which I think is a little bit silly and underplays our influence here. Well, one thing I wanted to show you guys, if you're new here, we got a lot of new people. We're actually on Instagram now with the Bald Brad Show. We're starting to get our Facebook more up and running, spending a little bit of time in that. Huge splash on Instagram, by the way. Your boy was wondering last night, why have I not been on here? Oh, because I don't have time. That's why. So we are on Instagram now, and we're gaining followers. I think we gained 100 just yesterday alone, which that might not seem like a lot, folks. In social media world, that's a lot, especially when you're doing everything by yourself. Well, I wanted to bring those new people's attention to my website, baldbrad.com. This is where you can check out all the stuff. We got articles for you. We don't write an article every day. We're a single man here. We don't have a producer. We don't have a team behind us. It's me, and I do this as a hobby before I go to work. So my main job is my bread and butter. That's what I do, and I take it very seriously. This is just a side gig, something I find fun, and I get to hang out with fine people in the chat. All right, enough of that talk, enough of that plug. Let's get to the news here. You have FBI alert warning. Iran may eye drone attack on American soil. So this popped off yesterday. I want to say maybe early afternoon. It depends where you're at. Again, I'm on the West Coast, which is why this hits a little bit home for me. And then I want to show you something else that's kind of funny at the end of this. And I'll say kind of funny because it's a very serious thing. The FBI recently warned California authorities that Iran was potentially plotting a surprise attack using unmanned aerial vehicles targeting the West Coast in retaliation for the United States on the Iranian regime. This was confirmed Wednesday, meaning yesterday, by the Daily Wire. The report was communicated to California law enforcement. That's the part that I think people are missing. This is something that I did a video on yesterday. And people are going, well, they're not going to get to us. And I get their thinking and I get their logic. You know, there's a massive ocean between us. We got a lot of intelligence assets. You also have the Israelis, who are just absolutely phenomenal with intelligence. I mean, talk about having a great ally. People always push back on that one about Israel being an ally because, oh, they're not really an ally on paper. They're not an ally. Come on. Okay. So like for somebody to be an ally for you, it has to be on paper. Like a friendship has to be documented like a wedding does with the state. Really? Yeah, no. Okay, let's not be silly here. Okay, there are allies. They enjoy working with us. They're thankful to be working with us, by the way. There was even I don't know if it was a leaked broadcast, but there was comms that was displayed between the Israelis and the Americans, U.S. fighter pilots. And the Israeli gets on. This happened yesterday. The Israeli fighter pilot gets on and he said he's absolutely honored to be flying with the United States, baby. And if that doesn't give you goosebumps when you hear it, I have goosebumps right now. People look at us as something bigger than them. And obviously we are. But they look up to us, man. We're like their bigger brother. And it's kind of sad how much they get attacked by even Americans, like people on the right. Obviously, the people on the left are going to do it. The people on the left attack everybody. They even attack themselves. But anywho, the alert came and was communicated to law enforcement. That's California law enforcement, folks. It has to be a pretty serious thing. I'm not saying they don't always do this. They do this quite a bit. But it's always escalated when you're contacting like the local authorities. Do you know what I mean? Like, it has to be something pretty tangible, probably a pretty good probability of attacking the homeland if you're getting local law enforcement involved. Or else why even bother? You just keep it with the federal level, with the military. Now, I could be completely wrong on this. Like, no, yeah, it happens quite often. Yeah, they let us know about stuff, about every week. Maybe. The FBI first became aware of the potential threat in early February. Jeez. As they've known about this for a while, as we're all sitting here going around our daily lives, just wondering, no, just get a frappuccino and boom, get hit with the drone. The FBI reviewed the Daily Wire, stated, we recently acquired information that as of early February 2026, Iran allegedly aspired to conduct a surprise attack using unmanned aerial vehicles from unidentified vessels off the coast of the United States homeland, specifically against unspecified targets in California. In the event that the U.S. conducted strikes against Iran, we have no additional information on the timing, method, target, or perpetrators of this alleged attack. I mean, they don't know anything, which is always fun. Yeah, we just know it could happen. Just be ready. Thanks, Joey. Why do I say thanks, Joey? Because, they also have sleeper cells here. Because the Democrats thought it was a fabulous idea to allow millions of people that we don't know anything about to cross our border. And here's the doozy. Let's say we even vetted them, which we know we didn't vet a lot of them. Come on. Let's not be dum-dums. Let's say we did. They have a guy, and this comes from, again, Sarah Adams from Sean Ryan Podcast. If you have not watched all her podcasts from Sean Ryan, you are doing yourself a big, massive disservice to yourself. You need to watch those. I'm going to say this again because I think it's that important. I think after this podcast, you should all listen to every podcast that she's ever done. I don't even know if I've mentioned that to anybody here on the show to go do for anybody. I think it's that serious. She mentioned that there is a guy over there in the Middle East that can make you like perfect passports for any country you want to get into, which shouldn't surprise anybody. A lot of governments can do that. A lot of people can do that. But the thing is that most terrorists haven't done anything yet because they're still alive. So they haven't actually committed a terrorist attack yet because they're sitting there in front of you. They're not missed. They're not dust, at least not yet. So either they're a cell that hasn't committed something yet that's radicalized, or they have done something in their country and now they're going to go do it here. Which, by the way, a lot of illegal immigrants that have come here, and by me saying a lot, when you're talking in the tune of millions of people, you could be talking about 10,000. You could be talking about 50,000 of the millions that poured across the border, are a lot of evil, heinous people that have committed crimes in their own country, and then they came here, they're seeking refuge here. Not a refugee, they're seeking refuge here so that they don't have to go to prison for the rest of their life in another country. And that's documented. So we don't know who these people are because they're unvetted. They could be your neighbor. They say shalom or shalala, shabidoo-bida. They can say whatever to you next door. Okay. Newsom said in a video message that he was aware of the alert from the FBI, adding, drone issues have always been top of mind. Oh, here we go with the top of mind stuff again. Folks. You want to know why the top of mind stuff just aggravates me? Is because when Joe Biden was looking for a dead person in the crowd, I know this sounds satirical, but it's 100% a true story. He was at an event or he's doing some sort of speaking engagement and he was looking for a dead person in the crowd. And then all the reporters asked Karine Jean-Pierre, why was he looking for that dead person in the crowd? Like, they're not around. They're 6 feet into the ground. And she goes, well, she was just top of mind. And then one of the reporters in the back still has one of the greatest comebacks, I think, in White House correspondence history. He says, I have John Lennon top of mind every day, but I don't go around looking for him. It's so good of a comeback that I actually have it memorized. That was, I believe it was James Rosen actually said that in the back, and it was a phenomenal one. Anyways, drones are top of mind for some reason. So this must be a common occurrence if it's just on the top of your mind all the time. Because he says always. It says always top of mind. We've assembled work groups specifically around those concerns. That's all I will share at the moment. Let me mention something to you guys. That is not reassuring for me. One, it's not reassuring that Gavin knows about it. And two, he put work groups specifically around these concerns. There's a lot of concerns in this state that he puts work groups towards, and nothing ever gets solved or figured out. You think that I expect Gavin to stop something like this from happening? I think he would welcome it. And I don't think he would welcome it in the sense of like, yeah, come on and do this. I think he would welcome it because he's an idiot. That's what I mean. And let me give you an analogy. When I say welcome it, if you knew that there was high crime in your neighborhood, you as a person that has common sense and is not an idiot, you would probably lock your doors and your windows, correct? Maybe even get a dog as well, extra security, maybe some Ring cameras, and you get a couple firearms, you know what I mean? Not Gavin. And when I mean welcome it, yeah, keep the doors unlocked, right? Open the windows, no firearms. And it's just, there's a welcome mat at the end with a nice row of lights that go right into the house to really guide the person in correctly. That's what I mean. Because he's just stupid. Think about all the crap that you've ever heard about our state in the last 20 years or less. Let's just keep it less. Let's just keep it with Gavin in office. Anybody in here have faith in this guy to stop anything? The only thing he could stop is his hair from getting messy. That's it. After President Donald Trump authorized Operation Epic Fury on February 28th, Iran retaliated with missile strikes targeting U.S. bases throughout the Middle East. So now people ask, well, how is it possible that they could do something here on the West Coast with drones? Yeah, I mean, I understand there's a huge ocean, but at the same time, if you've never gone to like Huntington Beach, Long Beach, Seal Beach, like these piers, Belmont Shore is another one. The port of Long Beach is massive. It's one of the biggest ports. I think it's the top third or like the third biggest, maybe the largest. I think it's the largest on the West Coast. Could be wrong on that one, but it's a massive port. So no matter what, if you're at Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, it doesn't matter what beach you're on here in Southern California, you will just see oil tankers out there. And it just looks like I don't say a parking lot. It's silly. During COVID it did. But you just see these tankers waiting to just get into the port. So that's one way of doing it, is having a makeshift, what you think is just an average Joe oil tanker that blends in just like all the other ones. And next thing you know, it's kind of like what the Ukrainians did with the trucks coming into Ukraine, and the roofs lift up, and now you got these drones coming out and they're flying in. That's one way. And by the way, that comes from the Intel guy over at TikTok. I thought that was a really great idea of how they could do it. Absolutely use tankers or just use these undocumented boats. That looks like a fishing vessel. Yep. And then even if it's one drone does massive damage, dude, that's super populated here, man. You don't need much. And by the way, let me just mention this. Let's say they launched some drone that had like a grenade attached to it. It was nothing crazy. The fact that they would be able to even pull it off would make headlines. Like that would be a win for any country to pull off something. Because we haven't exactly been, attacked as much as other countries have. We always pride ourselves in, we got Department of Homeland Security, we got border security, we got all this stuff. You ain't going to get through, but it's possible. Definitely possible. Well, speaking of Iran, we got oil prices jumping as Iran celebrates attacks on oil tankers. Well, oil prices jumped Thursday morning to over $100 per barrel as Iran continues striking ships throughout the region, which is not good. That's the last thing you want to do is spook these people going through like the Strait of Hormuz or whatever. It says the global benchmark Brent crude climbed above $100 early Thursday morning for the first time since Monday before slipping slightly to $97.81. The spike came as Iranian attacks on ships in the Strait of Hormuz and Persian Gulf disrupted the flow of oil in the region. Donald Trump has tried to come out and say, look, we're going to kind of escort you guys. We're going to control the strait, blah, blah, blah. We'll kind of see. Again, you don't want to give people high expectations, right? And then underdeliver, which we talked about, I think, yesterday or the day before. At least 2 oil tankers were struck off the coast of Iraq on Wednesday by projectiles According to the shipping monitoring group United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations, crews on both tankers were evacuated as fires broke out. Iran reportedly took credit for attacking one of these tankers, claiming the ship disobeyed and ignored commands. Iran is suspected of attacking the other tanker, according to Iraqi officials, which wouldn't surprise me. This was an issue that we saw with Joe Biden, right? Remember how these, it was the Houthis, who's funded by the Iranians. The Houthis would go and just blow up these tankers. This isn't anything new. And that was the frustration that we were all having, was Joe Biden kept going, well, stop doing that. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. After every nap that he took. So as you can imagine, he said it a lot. Well, they kept doing it. So it was 127 or 137 times, I think, after of him saying stop doing it, that he finally went and bombed some sort of like dusty old cement sand-ridden building that's nobody used in like 30 years. We did them a service because now they don't have to demolish it. They just blew it up. So now they just had fresh land to go build some sort of nuclear site, I suppose. I'm being a little bit facetious, but you understand what I mean. Allah is the greatest. The destruction of an American tanker in the northern district of the Persian Gulf. I obey you, Khomeini. Hail be the Islamic Republic of Iran, soldiers of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy, the man said. It is kind of rough when you hear something like this, because the IQ of some of these people are extremely low. They're not able to fully grasp the power of the United States military. And you kind of see that with a lot of world leaders. And I've mentioned this in the past, where we've gone so long without really having to flex our muscle, or I say even just flexing our muscle, that we kind of just wearing a really big shirt. You know, when guys wear big shirts and then finally when the shirt comes off, you're like, bro, you are freaking jacked, dude. You are ripped. Holy crap. You kind of get like a false representation of who and what that person really is and their capabilities. Or you just see somebody on TV the entire time, and then you stand next to them, you're like, holy lordy, dude, that guy's massive. Like, if you ever met Shaquille O'Neal, it's the same thing. You know the guy's big, right? Everyone knows the United States is big. But, dude, when you see that man in person, that is a whole different ball game, dude. Way different ball game. It's the same thing, I think. It's my analogy. That either these guys are really low IQ, and some of them definitely are, or they just haven't seen the might of the United States. So you got that knucklehead. Maduro would be another example, right? Trying to egg on Trump to come get him, thinking he is, untouchable. And then Trump just goes and okay, we're just going to extract you from your country. See you later, buddy. See you later, bud. The attacks prompted both Iraq and Oman to close off oil terminals for security purposes, which you can imagine is bad. The disruption has caused gas prices to rise significantly in the United States. The national average on Thursday was $3.59 per gallon compared to $2.94 1 month ago, which isn't a good thing, right? Because now you're causing a dollar increase, which actually is a big increase, according to AAA. Here's the wild thing, right? This is the national average as of yesterday, $3.59. That's the average. Okay, that means 50% of America is paying more than $3.59. 50% is paying less than $3.59. So some people are paying $3. Some people might be still in like the $2.85 range or whatever. My frustration with people in California is they're still stoked to be paying $5 or $4.95. Again, I get this from, and this is one of the reasons why I do post videos, is because you get the lefties in there. You get a lot of people in California saying stuff, and I can use that as ammo here on the show and present to you, okay, this is what Americans are saying. I mean, that's what you guys care about. Not really what I'm saying. Maybe some of you do. But I need to let you know what other people are actually saying. Screw what I think and what I'm saying. That's what this guy's saying, or that's what people are telling me over here. That's the great thing about me on the front lines of California, and you guys, I suppose, in the front lines too, depending where you're at in what state. But most of you are kind of in red states or red areas, and you're living life, and I appreciate that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But here, I can let you know, hey, this is what this knucklehead is doing. This is what they're saying to me over here. You guys, they're ecstatic about paying $5. It's the oddest freaking thing. And they think that Donald Trump is the cause as to why their gas prices are so high. Is he part of it? Absolutely. But you were already paying insane amount of money, $2 more than anybody else in the union. Why are you ecstatic about that? If you have a 15-gallon tank and you're paying an extra $2 per gallon than anybody else, you're paying an extra $30 more every trip. And here's the issue, because there's traffic everywhere in this state, doesn't matter where you go. Like I mentioned, you can go 2 miles down the road and it's going to take you 30 minutes. You're just sitting there idling, pumping gas. You're just blowing through money. You're filling up every 2 days or something. And they're oh, well, I paid $4.85, and you're not flabbergasted about that? How are you not going, well, how the hell is some dude in Alabama paying $1.85 and I'm over here in California that has all the refineries? I'm on the West Coast. You know, you talk about all these shipping lanes and all this port and all this stuff. What the hell is wrong with you people? And not you in the chat. Why are you stoked about paying $5? Why are you not amped up about that? Pull your head out of your, you know what? And start asking some questions here. Could I be paying less? Should I be paying less? Some dude walked into the comment section yesterday, goes, well, you know, if we should do a cross association and correlation between the minimum wage of those states and the gas prices they pay. What the hell does minimum wage have anything to do with the taxes and fees that are imposed on the consumer by the state? What the hell does minimum wage have to do with these lefties and Democrats imposing more taxes and fees in and at the pump? Explain that to me, and he couldn't. Oh, well, you know, the minimum wage is $20 in California. No, it's not. It's not even $17. This is the problem. They don't know what goes into their gas tank because they just show up as freaking zombies, as NPCs. They put the thing in the hole and they just start pumping it. And no question about, why is it $5? Why is it $6, $7, $8? They just pay this shit. They do the same stuff at the grocery store. These are the same people that don't look at the price per ounce, right? And then they're so shocked when their grocery bill's $100 when they show up with 4 items because they're buying the brand. Maybe buy the off-brand stuff that has the exact same ingredients, that was produced at the exact same facility and boxed right next to the brand name item, because you could look on the back and it says the location as far as where it's distributed from. Because it's the same exact thing. You brought a Kroger item, or let's say Advil. Well, it's produced at the exact, you're getting the same pill that's produced by Kroger, Stater Brothers, some odd off-brand. Yeah, I'm a little amped, dude. I'm tired of these NPCs walking around, okay to be paying $5 and not asking questions. Why am I bothered? Because these people vote. They vote this stuff in. They shoot themselves in the foot. They think it's a good idea. So I go and breathe clean air. And then they complain about the gas prices. And when they don't complain about it, it's mind blowing. I don't know if you guys missed those rants, but you must. I mean, again, whenever I'm looking over here, this is where my chat is, by the way. You guys are right here. So I'm looking on this screen. I got my monitor, my chat. Over here is just the article. So whenever I'm looking this way, because I'm looking to see what you guys are saying, look at $3.69 in Southwest Michigan. It was $2.69 and a half weeks ago. Yeah, and everybody expects the price to increase. You're going after an area, right? And especially a strait and a region in which that's where everybody's kind of funneling through, which I suppose is a problem within itself. Everybody expects gas prices to go up. But the problem is, before this was going on, before this was all going on, we were paying high prices here in California. That's the frustrating thing. Look at this. Look at this. Today's average California gas price. Basically $5.40. I rounded up about 2 cents. They're stoked about this stuff. And when I bring up the gas station that was doing the 821, people are like, "You're just fear mongering. You know, I paid $4.50, blah blah blah." It was an example and an illustration of where things are going. But because people can't read anymore and they can't actually comprehend what somebody's saying, it's just, why even bother almost? God, these people. That's partially the failure of the education system. You just let people graduate. It doesn't matter. Oh, you can't tie your shoes, Jimmy? Oh, you're drooling into a drip tray? Oh, that's fine. It's cool. He did a lot of work. He passed every test. Huh. Can't spell his name correctly. Doesn't know the date. Still can't color between the lines. He's 12th grade. We'll pass him. It's fine. He'll figure it out. All right, where are we at here? Let's get to some other stuff. Oh, yeah, I want to get to the illegal alien stuff. Yeah. Yeah, this stuff's still going on. Illegal immigrants found a new way to get released from ICE detention. Now, I always do reactionary commentary, so I don't read these ahead of time. Illegal immigrants have found a new way to get released from immigration and customs enforcement detention centers, throwing a massive wrench in the Trump administration's deportation plan. So what are they doing here? President Donald Trump returned to the White House. Illegal immigrants have filed more than 18,000 habeas petitions challenging their detention in federal courts, ProPublica reported last month. It's more than the number of such challenges filed over the last 3 administrations put together. So how did they get the knowledge to do all this? Yeah, where are they getting this advice from? Oh, that's right. Probably all their lawyers that you're paying for. See, yeah, I mean, you could get something by the state, sure. I mean, you're still paying for it, but if you wanted your own specific lawyer, you have to pay for that. See, if they want their own specific lawyer, you have to pay for that. See how that works? Yeah. Correct. Yeah, there is no realm in which they have to pay for anything. You get to pay for it. Do you have a choice in the matter? Of course you don't have a choice in the matter. Stop it. Come on. You don't have a choice in the matter in anything. Being silly. Now, according to the left, the Democrat Party, you will shut up and do as you're told. You will pay it and you will enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it and you don't pay it, you're a bigot and you're a racist and you're a Nazi and you deserve to be taken out, according to the left. That's their thinking. Yeah, you will obey. The next thing is, you're going to start funding your own dog collar and leash. And if you're not walking on all fours by said point in time, you too will be taken out to the barn and taken out. And that ain't far off. I mean, it sounds crazy. They obviously are being a little bit silly and obviously satirical. Look what happened with Donald Trump. Look what happened with Charlie Kirk being murdered. Assassinated. I mean, all that stuff just went by. Nobody ever talks about it. You notice that? That the incoming president of the United States was shot in the head, which we were live for. I think we were the only person live for that, as a streamer, by the way, which is insane. I haven't seen another streamer live that was there. We were all there. Don't know anything about the guy still. I mean, how long has it been? We don't know anything. That's odd. Barely know stuff about the guy that was on the golf course, which that was still crazy. The whole Tyler Robinson thing, we still don't know with Charlie Kirk. And you got Candace Owens and a bunch of other people coming out saying some whack job stuff. Where are we at here? Okay, so it's a perfect storm. This is coming from former ICE deputy field office director in New York. Told the Wire that you have increased enforcement, increased mandatory detention, and an increased perception of judicial bias that's driving the habeas rates out the window. In Arizona, United States attorney said his office went from receiving 10 petitions in immigration cases to nearly 1,000. Whoa! Since Trump returned to the White House in a year. Border states like Arizona are inundated right now because they have a larger share of illegal immigrants in ICE detention. It's definitely a new trend. Now, those aren't all just bond hearings, but that's the vast majority. Well, that's just lovely, isn't it? The habeas petitions move detainees cases out of the immigration court system and into the district court docket, where judges have a lot more remedies to give them than an immigration judge. Oh, so you mean, well, if you're in a lefty area, that judge is going to be biased, which isn't supposed to be involved in the judiciary. I mean, that's why Lady Justice has the blindfold over her eyes and just lets them walk. Is that what's going on here? They can get a whole lot more relief than they would ever be due in immigration court, adding that district court judges have their own ways of ruling in their courts and they can issue their own orders. Oh, okay. Individual described district courts as favorable venues for illegal immigrants because they don't necessarily understand immigration law. Well, I think they do understand it, some of them, but their own little personal bias seeps in and their empathy, and they just let them go. I don't know if they really let them go. I don't really see that here, but let's see what we got here. This is what happens when I'm not a lawyer. Roughly 40% of new habeas cases are being filed. ICE particularly. I mean, if it says that they're getting out of ICE detention centers, right? They're getting released from ICE. I'd imagine that's what that is. That's how I read it. Was basically this stuff is these judges are just letting them go. Now take that with a grain of salt. Do your own research on that one. We want to cover more news here because we only have an hour. But I mean, that's how I'm reading it. That's how I'm reading it, and I could definitely be reading it wrong. It's crazy. The reason why I'm more inclined to read it that way too is just seeing what these rogue judges are doing already by allowing these heinous criminals to be out on the street and then they go and attack somebody. How many articles have we read where the guy's been like 30, 60, 80 priors? Think about how many lifetimes you specifically yourself would have to go through to encounter a police officer in that manner, or law enforcement in general. I don't even think I've talked to, well, other than my friends and stuff, family, but like engaging with a rando police officer more than 10 times in my life. And I'm counting like running them into a Starbucks and saying, hey, do you want a cup of coffee? I'd love to buy you something, you and your partner. Because I've always mentioned anytime I see a law enforcement officer, I will, and I'm at like a Starbucks or something like that, I will offer buying them the cup of coffee. And I'll even say, look, I won't touch it. I won't do anything to it. You can go pick it up. Just let me, I'll just give me like a badge number or something. I'll put the badge number up. It just depends. Most of the time they're cool with their name because their name's on their thing. But I always will try to buy them a cup of coffee. They will always say no. I'll insist. If they keep saying no, then I won't get them one. But that would be my encounters most of the time is just saying thank you, appreciate you for keeping our community safe. There's a lot of people that don't like you guys. I'm not one of them. I do like you. Love to buy you a cup of coffee or lunch. So do that if you see law enforcement. It's nice. And that law enforcement could be a Democrat. And you want to know something? I don't care. As long as they're keeping us safe, I don't care. Democrats want these criminals to run loose. And then, law enforcement actually does their job. Matter of fact, let me get to that. That actually, see these rants sometimes and these off topics. It's not totally off topic, but sometimes me talking sparks a memory in my mind. Joe Biden used to have that. There's this right here. Let me see if you guys could see that. There we go. Nick Shirley interviews a New York police officer. The officer says every day they arrest the scammers selling illegal fake counterfeit goods on the streets. Now, mind you, some of these scammers are illegal aliens themselves. He says every day they are released back on the streets. So let's check this out. This is a problem. And we have this problem in California. We have this problem in other blue states, but also even red states as well. Red states, because red states have blue areas. Remember that. That is a way that Democrats will try to manipulate you and saying, well, red states have the most crime. Correct. Don't think that they're lying when they say that. They're just manipulating you by utilizing a factual statement. But the problem is that when you look inside that statement, it was the blue cities in those red states that have the most crime. That's causing the state to have the most crime. Well, you end up de-incentivizing these police officers to do their job because if you're just going to release them anyways, well, what's the big deal? Let me explain, because you always want to take it down to the individual level. Why is the education system in the state that it is? Well, I'm going to use myself as an example. I used to be a teacher. I was an educator for almost a decade. Admin if they don't impose harsh penalties on a student for doing something, but yet they want me to take the time to do the paperwork to write them up so that they can get a detention or something, but maybe they're not getting attention. Maybe they got to pick up 5 pieces of trash during an hour lunch. Whoa, stop traffic. There's enough freaking trash at the table with their friends to do that. Why would I even bother trying to police it? You're not going to do anything. It's a waste of my time. So why even bother? So you know what? I did stop writing detentions and doing stuff, because if the kid has, if I keep writing the same kid or kids up and they keep doing the exact same thing, you know what that tells me? Either you're not being harsh on them or you're not being harsh enough. And if the consequences aren't harsh enough to where it's going to make them stop doing what they're doing, then I'm going to stop policing it and I'm not going to write them up whatsoever, because it's not worth my damn time. In the same way for them, it's even more so because they have to put their lives on the line dealing with these knuckleheads out there. And you know what? If they're just going to go back on the street, why do you bother even policing it in the first place? And then you have a denigration, you have a fall, a flop, however you want to phrase it, of policing that's happening in these areas. And I can't blame them. What, you got bigger fish to fry, I suppose. But then who gets kind of screwed? All of us. So let's listen to what this guy has to say.
The what?
The scammers.
We do.
And how often do you guys come here?
Every day.
Every day?
I arrest them every day.
And they just come back?
Just come back.
Do you arrest them and then are they released on the street the next day? Really? They're released the next day. And how come you guys are just catching people then releasing them?
That's not up to us.
Who releases them the next day? The judge.
The what?
Remember how I was saying how these judges are rogue and they're letting people go? Remember I said, oh, this kind of sparked a memory when I'm saying this. Like I listened to this yesterday. And if you're not following me on X, you got to be following me on X because I repost a lot of stuff. Matter of fact, let me just give you the link to my X page. You know, if you're here on the show, that means you kind of like something about the show that I do here, meaning that you probably would like the X page because I'm posting stuff that I enjoy and we're probably the same. We probably all enjoy it. I don't blame the officer. I blame the system. And the system is the rogue judge and the Democrats that are all doing this stuff. All right, let's cleanse our palate here. Can we get some sort of rationality going on? I mean, I know we just saw Nick Shirley. He's a pretty rational guy. But I don't know if y'all saw this. So, Ben Stiller, who I actually like, I could separate politics from actors, believe it or not. Some people can't. I don't mind. It's art. I can remove myself for a while and put aside what people have to say about their politics and just watch their acting. I can do it. I get why other people can't. Donald Trump used a portion of the movie Tropic Thunder in a video that they did through the White House. And it was very quick. I think it was like Tom Cruise in Tropic Thunder dancing. That famous dance scene that he does. And then Mark Ruffalo, you know, he's been outspoken about stuff as well. Well, Gene Simmons comes in and TMZ interviews him really quick on the street. And here's what he has to say. And I think you guys are going to like it.
I know right now Ben Stiller is calling out the president saying he doesn't want him to use his movie clips for war propaganda. I mean, it sounds like a lot of people are kind of, you know, criticizing Trump, like Hollywood right now, you know, over this war thing. Is that fair?
Yeah, because everybody in the world should listen to what actors and comedians say because they're so qualified. Basically, shut the f*** up. Do your art and shut up. Nobody's interested in your opinions. That includes me. Who I vote for, who I like. Who the f*** do you think you are? People in America work hard for their living and they don't want to be lectured to by people who live in mansions and drive Rolls Royces. It's time for everybody in the entertainment industry to shut their pie hole and just do your art. Nobody cares what you think. I don't.
Okay.
What will Mark Ruffalo, however the f*** he pronounces his
Mark
name.
Ruffalo, yeah.
Ruffalo, Buffalo. What does Mark think about politics? I don't care.
So you think celebrities should stay out of the politic talk?
Well, we both agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know.
Or go to Kylie Jenner and ask her what she thinks of the war so far.
Well said, Gene. The guy still has it, huh? And look, I guarantee you, let's just do this in the chat or the comment section if you're watching this later. Let me know in the live chat right now or the comment section whenever you're watching this. Do you agree with Gene Simmons here, the lead singer of Kiss? That's what I want to know. People resonate with this stuff. Let's go to the comment section. Mark Ruffalo, great idea for socialists. The actors union would be the perfect place to try socialism. An actor earning 20 million could redistribute their wealth to give hundreds of struggling actors a living wage. That is correct. That is absolutely correct. And Gene is right here. So here's one of those that said F our rights when it came to the jab. The unvaccinated are his enemies. Who gives a bleep what he has to say? Correct. It's see, this guy doesn't get it. Let's listen to this.
If you're willing to walk among us unvaccinated, you are an enemy. If you're willing to...
That doesn't change what he said. It doesn't. Who cares what Gene has to say? I don't care. I find it interesting. I agree with him here, but at the end of the day, he's still right. And so it's funny how people are posting all his clips of him saying stuff. It's like, he's going to say stuff. You asked him a question. It's the same thing with celebrities. But truthfully, the answer usually should be, I'm not here for that. That's not my career. It's not my job. I'm kind of going to stay out of it a little bit. All righty, let's see what other news we have here today. I guess this is going on. This is going on in New York City Hall under Mamdani. This is not AI, allegedly. Again, this is New York City Hall. That's a crazy image, by the way.
Moment where you're asking yourself how you can reconnect to growing up with being taught that
Now, do I have a huge problem with this? Not really. So long as you are fully bought in to America, Americana, we're the best country. You're on the side of the faith that isn't radicalized. The issue is that with that faith, there is a lot of radicalization that's in the faith itself within the text. That's my problem. I don't know what your end goal is with the faith. That's what spooks a lot of people. I don't mind people praying at their workplace. I don't know who these guys are, so I find that a little odd. Like if it's Mamdani doing this, I actually don't have a problem with it. I don't need it on camera. You shouldn't be doing that on camera. Just do it in your own time. I don't remember the scripture text, but you should be doing that. Like it's like I'm not going to be recording myself all the time doing prayer. You just kind of go off in your own area and you do it. But a lot of people aren't going to like it. But it shows you, I mean, in a span of what, 25 years, what's happened. And this is also a scenario in which you see that history can change really quickly. Even with the amount of information we get like that, it made sense as to why, things would happen slower in the past because, the dissemination of information was slower. Now things are speeding up where history's, possibly going to repeat itself. That's crazy, though. New York, man. New York is starting to look like, not New York. Man, that used to be such an American city, dude. I'm not saying these people aren't Americans. That's not what I'm saying. But it was very much, like the country was built on Judeo-Christian values. People get upset when you say that. It blows my mind. Half of our book, I'm Christian, half of our book is Jewish. I mean, the whole book is technically, but ours specifically, the Old Testament is all Jewish. And then the New Testament is Christian. So even if you were to talk about Judeo-Christian values, what do you mean? You use both texts. You can't have the New Testament without the old one, you guys. There is no new without the old. By the way, it would completely fall apart if that was the case. You don't go and have blind faith, and if you do, going, oh, well, I just have faith. 'Cause some Christian churches do that. Well, you just need to have faith to get into heaven. No, that's wrong. That's completely wrong. No, that's you not utilizing the whole scripture to get that wisdom. You need knowledge, faith, and action. Read James. See what James has to say with faith and action. You let me know on that one. And by the way, don't tell me that you don't need to have knowledge. How is it physically possible to have faith in something that you know nothing about? I'm going to say that again. Knowledge. Okay? How is it conceivable, possible, in all literal sense, to have faith in something as well as have action in something if you don't know said something literally exists? How does that even... Okay. Some people still aren't picking up on what I'm saying. I don't know all 1,000 people that watch my show. I know some of you because you're regulars. How can I physically encounter you and talk to you and then believe in the words you're saying and everything else if I don't even know who you are or exist? I don't know your name. I literally don't even know that you're even here. And then take it a step further of, well, now I got to listen to what you say. Why should I believe in you in the first place? Why should have the Jews believed Jesus before he resurrected? Because prophecy and fulfillment. He was fulfilling the Old Testament. That's why. You don't just go believe somebody because they said they're the Son of God. You don't just you look at the person at the time at the first coming. You go, what the hell are you talking about, dude? I went to school with you. People went to school with Jesus. John the Baptist was like a cousin of Jesus. Hold on a second. Now we're doing a little bit of some scripture talk, some Bible talk here. I don't care if you like it or not. You're here. If you don't like it, get the hell out of here. Well, people went to school with Jesus. They crapped next to Jesus. I'm not trying to belittle the guy. I believe in him. If you read Isaiah, he wasn't a elegant looking guy. If you read the prophecy of what Jesus looked like in the book of Isaiah, Jesus was not a nice looking man. I don't care what pictures people draw. There's Korean Jesus out there. There's black Jesus. There's all these Jesuses that people draw. That's not what the prophecy of Jesus on terms of what he would look like portrayed him as. Like Isaiah talked about, he'd be like a root out of dry ground, out of ground. Like you take a root out of the ground, you let me know if it's appealing to you. There's a lot more that goes involved in that Isaiah scripture. But the whole purpose is he was an average Joe walking around. It wasn't like he had light beaming around him. And the dude said, I'm the son of God. I'm the guy that was talked about in the Old Testament hundreds of times. I'm the guy that's fulfilling it. I'm the guy that's doing this. And there's a little bit of sense in that of going, okay, well, if I told you hundreds of times that something was going to happen and then it did happen, at some point you'd be like, yeah, I think I'm going to, okay. Yeah, the guy's kind of like doing everything that was written here 1,500 years ago, 700 years ago, and it keeps happening. I think at some point I got to believe the guy here. And that makes logical sense because I grew up with people going, oh, there's all these miracles at the first coming. Jesus turned water into wine. Yes, he did. But you know what he also called those people that believed in those miracles? An evil and adulterous generation, because it was not about the miracles that he was doing. It was about him fulfilling the Old Testament. And it drives me up a wall when people get so uncomfortable when you say Judeo-Christian. In the same way, when you say America first, but not America only, all the people on the right get upset. Why? You are America first. In the same way, you're a Christian first. But you ain't a Christian without that Old Testament because you need it in order to believe in who Jesus was because he fulfilled the Old Testament scriptures and he said who he was. And that's why he said, believe in me now. Listen to what I'm saying now before it happens so that when it does happen, you will believe. The exact phrase of it, by the way, chat, is I have told you now, okay, so that when it does happen, you may believe. What does he mean by that? I've told you the prophecy so that when it actually does fulfill, you can believe in the thing that happened because you can't just believe in what anybody says because there's a lot of people out there preaching a bunch of bullshit. Sorry to cuss, but it's true. That's not true by saying the Gentiles weren't even taught the gospel until Paul. That's not true. Jesus was actively preaching in front of people since literally he was a kid. It's in the gospel, and was talking about fulfilling scripture. The dude actually stood up in the middle of the synagogue and looked at the guy sitting next to him and said, "Hey, hand me that piece of scripture," which, by the way, I think it was Isaiah that the guy handed him. He read the piece of scripture aloud to everybody in there, and he was talking about fulfilling a portion of Isaiah. All the gospel was talking about what Jesus did in terms of fulfilling the scripture. Don't get me wrong. There was history. There was some prophecy in there. Not so, well, there is prophecy in the gospel because it does talk about the Matthew, but it's all just prophecy, fulfillment. There's history, moral teachings. That's all the Bible is prophecy, fulfillment, history, moral teachings. Jesus 100% preached the gospel because the gospel was talking about the fulfillment of Jesus Christ, of which how he fulfilled the Old Testament. And it was just people, boots on the ground, these people just doing reporting and going, "Hey, let me go up to this guy. What'd you hear, buddy? Oh, you saw that too? Okay, let me go to this guy. Oh, cool. You got that too? Let's write that down. Oh, I heard Jesus talking. Cool. Let's write that down." That's all it was. Jesus 100% was talking to people. He literally he was looking at the Pharisees. I'm talking about preaching to people. He was looking at the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the teachers of the law, and was telling them to repent. He was telling them to follow them. How much more preaching can you get when you're literally going up to people's priests and going, "Yo, bro, you're a viper. You're a person that's telling falsehoods. I'm the guy you should be following. That whole book that you believe in is talking about me. That's who you got to believe in." So yeah, I'm sorry, I don't buy, I love you to death, but I don't buy into that whole thing like, well, he didn't really preach to the Gentile, but he was talking to everybody that would listen. The problem is people wouldn't listen because they saw some dude that was kind of raggedy that they grew up with, they went to school with. The area of which Jesus worked is not that big. It is not that big at all. You're not like traveling from freaking Los Angeles to New York City. It's not huge. People knew who this guy was. He was uplifting tables. I mean, he wasn't a nobody. He was a disruptor. But that whole thing, if he wasn't preaching, of course he was. He was talking to people all the time. There's a reason why everybody knew who he was. Even that's a form of preaching. Hell, if people know who you are, they're going to listen to who you are. So, yeah. Anyways. All right, where are we at here? Let's get back to the news. Enough of that preaching. I want to do one more thing here, and then we're put a little bow on this. But anyways, yeah, Judeo-Christian. It's a thing. It's a thing. It's a thing. Gutfeld praises Musk's ex. If you're talking about the whole idea of like, well, the ministry of preaching to the Gentiles didn't really happen until the 12 apostles were put in place. Yeah, but I think we're just splitting hairs on that one, to be frank. I don't like doing stuff like that. That like is a pet peeve of mine. I'm like, well, theoretically, like, even though there's Gentiles in the area and he was preaching the fulfillment of the Old Testament, it wasn't really in the works of what was actually the main mission of the time. That didn't really kick off until Saul turned into Paul, and then Paul had the workings of creating the churches, like the Church of Rome and the Church of Corinth and all these things. And really then the work started of preaching to the Gentiles across the globe. I think that's really splitting hairs, and that always bugs the crap out of me because it's like, give me a break. There was Gentiles in the area in the same way. If you were to go to the grocery store, there's a lot of different types of people. It was all for everybody to hear the message and turn toward the Lord. I don't split hairs like that. If you want to get into the hermeneutics of the scriptures, like, okay, yes, then I will submit and agree with you. But I think that's just a little bit too hair splitting there. And that's what a lot of Christians do. And I love you, Michelle. You're my baby. But you get what I'm saying. All right, where are we at here? See, that's the thing about our community here. We can push back on one another and we're still friends. Do you notice that? I mean, how many times have I gone? I've gone against the whole chat one time or another. I got against everybody here. Like, it was all of you versus me before, many times. But at the end of the day, I still like everybody. Like, life goes on. It's called disagreements. We could do it about food all day. But, yeah. Like, I guess there's not really a disagreement here. I agree with what's being said, but I'm like, it's kind of splitting hairs. But anywho. All right. Here we go. Oh, we got a clip here. Palate cleanser. I always love ending on a nice little palate cleanser.
The old media ecosystem is collapsing like a presidential palace in Tehran. When CNN was the gatekeeper, no one could challenge the narrative. They wrote the story, Anderson put on his apron and served it to the public. But now we're quickly blowing holes in it like Bud Light cans stacked in Kid Rock's backyard. And you can thank Musk for buying Twitter. Remember the old line, a lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is still putting on its boots? Now the lie barely gets out of bed before we put a boot up its ass. The old
Gutfeld is great, man. And what's nice is, like, if you're listening to late night or whatever, I guess depending on where you live and who you're surrounded by, it's just a breath of fresh air, man. I hope that you guys kind of get that with me. A little bit of like a Gutfeld, Adam Carolla. I was saying this yesterday. Like I relate more to Adam Carolla than anything. It's just common sense, and I think it's something that we all agree with. Where it's like we're just average Joe people, dude. We're not these elites. It's kind of like what Gene Simmons was saying. And when you hear all this crazy stuff, oh, this guy had 30 priors, deleted this little girl, or, oh, you know, we're just going to allow in millions of people that could potentially harm us. We don't know who they are. Or, oh, we're just going to allow this faith to take over the faith that made the greatest country that God's ever existed. You know, if one faith was so great, then why all of those countries not great? Do you know what I mean? Over there in the Middle East. If your religion and your faith is so great, then why are your countries not great? Why is there disruption? Why have you never gotten along over there? That's my question. Do you wonder why the Jews and Christians get along so well? It's because of our faith. I've never had a problem with a Jew. Ever. If anything, they're the ones that can actually take a joke. Not everyone, but most of them. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are that are Muslim that could take jokes as well. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's actually a lot of cool Muslims. But my thing is, in a holistic view, then if the faith is so great, then why are your countries not great? Our faith and our religions are great here because the values in our faith and religion are great, which allows our country to be great as well. That's what I think. And I think America is the greatest country on earth. I fully believe that. But at the same time, I also like having allies like the Australians. I love the Brits. That's why a lot of English guys watch the show. I've always said this, Shib over there and a bunch of guys. We got a big following over there in the United Kingdom is because the boys will storm the beaches with us. I like having the allies. And we don't really have much Israeli people watching us, but I like the Israelis because you know what? They're going to be storming the beaches with us. And I like their intelligence. I like their assets. And you know what? They know how to fight. I like that. And I like that a lot. I like people that aren't going to harm us. I like people that are going to help protect us. And when bleep hits the fan, the boys are going in. And you know what? The Brits used to be like that. A lot. They used to be like that until they started crippling the country and allowing mass migration to happen. And now, well, you don't really see them storming the beaches with us as much anymore, huh? You know who's storming the beaches with us now? The Israelis. Granted, they got a dog in the fight a little bit here because if they don't, you know, they could be wiped out. But here nor there. Let's go to the chat a little bit. If anyone is interested, I believe Chuck Misler, I don't know who that is, might be one of the best Bible teachers, preachers of our time, has amazing Bible commentaries. That's cool. I think it's important people read their Bibles. Oh, my back. Punched over. Hit that like button. Thank you so much. Yes, hit that like button. That's life. Yes, it is. Favorite show. Love that raw humor. Thank you, Lulu. Appreciate it. That's so nice. You guys are too nice to me. Islam is only great for evil sexual deviants. Jeez, Michelle. Michelle's coming out swinging, dude. Michelle's hitting me and everybody around her. She's just windmilling. I love it. The sect of the... Sea-Dog is going deep in this stuff. Jerry says, Brad, Matthew 6:6, pray in private. There you go. Thank you. I knew somebody would have thrown the scripture there for me. They are using faith as a cover-up. It could be. I mean, some of them definitely are. You know what I mean? Definitely. Great show this morning. Brad, appreciate you, Pat. Always appreciate you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you. Have a wonderful day as well. Alrighty, well, we're out of here ourselves. We got some work to do. We got to go make some money so that we can pay the bills here and keep the show going. Because, again, I moved and things are more expensive for me. Way more expensive for me. You don't really have an option. You know, everything's kind of expensive around here. So if you want to make a donation, That goes directly back into the show. But you just watching, commenting, that stuff helps. Like you sticking all the way through or watching videos and watching through the ads, that stuff helps. That's where you can really contribute because it allows us to grow here. More people following, the more people will, help us create more ad revenue by watching those ads. And, we can pay for groceries or whatever. We don't make a killing here. So it's not paying rent, not even close, but you know what I mean. Always appreciate you guys. We're going to be back here tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for more of the Bald Brad Show. Let's hope that there's some peace over on the other side of the world and we get the heck out of there and got to have some kumbaya here. So we got another week and a half of this, I guess, allegedly. Trump said 4 weeks. So appreciate you. Yes, my birthday is Friday. Shout out to that. Yes, I will forget. I actually did forget until you mentioned it. I'm so busy that I keep forgetting. I actually told my wife, I said, hand the gun. I know birthdays were never a big deal in my family. I think maybe my parents would say different, but that's how it came across as a kid. It wasn't really like a highlight. So for me, a birthday is kind of another day. I don't like attention. People never, hold on a second, I got to say this. People never believe me because I do this. Like I have a show. They go, well, dude, you're a host of a show that has like if you take in combination of everything, like over 200,000 subscribers. Like, what do you mean you don't like the attention? Believe it or not, I don't want to be like big and famous podcast like Benny Johnson or Ben Shapiro. I don't like that. I don't want that. I like to be like a mid-tier podcaster guy. I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I don't like drama. I actually don't like the attention. I don't want that. I've actually declined going on other people's podcasts because I don't want the attention. But sometimes like, it'll be worth it. I got to stretch myself a little bit. So I'll go do something. But with I don't even know where I was going with that. But needless to say, my birthday, I don't like center of attention. So I don't like a birthday party for myself. I don't like the big, I just don't like it. I don't like being center of attention. Like when I sit with people, I'm always like in the corner, like I'll have everybody in front of me and I'll just kind of listen. But I appreciate that and I told my wife, I said, most likely I'm gonna forget Friday is my birthday. I'm not. It sounds like I'm joking when I say that. I'm literally not. She reminded me yesterday that it was my birthday, and Karen's literally reminding me right now that it's my birthday tomorrow. People are like, that's kind of sad. Not really. Not when you're used to it. It's kind of like people that grew up without their parents. That's all they know. I like when other people celebrate their birthdays. I think that's really, really fun. I love when people are having a great time, but for me, it's not but tomorrow is my birthday. Yeah. Friday the 13th. It's happened a few times in my life. So, shout out to me how old am I turning? 37. I think that's right. I don't even know how old I am. Ooh, but yeah. It's Friday's, is that tomorrow? It is tomorrow, huh? Jeez. Okay. All right, well, we're out of here, folks. We got to put on the suit. We got to don the bat cape. And always appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me, man. I appreciate you guys allowing me to be in your ear. You're inviting me into your workplace, into your home, or wherever it may be. Always appreciate that. Shout out to the kids that are listening to this as well. Listen to your parents. Read a book for once, huh? Get off the video games and read a book. Put the iPad down. You don't want to be an iPad kid. That's embarrassing. Let your kids know I said that. Don't let your kids, you don't want to wind up being an iPad kid. That's so embarrassing. Read a book, man. Read a book. Get off the video games. All right. I'll see you guys later. God bless. Take care.